A very good morning, everyone. Welcome to StudyIQ English and the Hindu newspaper class with me. I am Saumya, and like every day, you and I shall break down, analyze, understand UPSC relevant articles for today. That's 20th February 2026. So I begin with displaying the QR code of our Telegram channel, where you shall be soon updated on more exciting events for this month for the UPSC 26 and 27. Those who are having a difficulty in finding the channel can just scan this QR code, and then that shall directly take you to our link. And then here are about six articles that I have chosen from today's Hindu newspaper for us to analyze in detail. Of course, from the editorial page where we always start from, we have about two articles today, and then definitely we are looking into world politics, we are looking into foreign affairs because we shall analyze whatever is happening in Iran right now. Of course, we will do a proper backgrounder on what's Iran's nuclear history. Why is America objecting? If US is objecting, then what is the role being played by other powers like Russia and China here? Are we actually heading for another kind of a world war or a kind of regional massive outbreak? Or will things stabilize? Those questions are being asked by everyone right now. So we shall look about that. Also, a proper scientific topic, very technology oriented topic on the importance of GPU in today's AI world. Because since the last few days, ever since India has become the first global south country to host the AI Impact Summit in New Delhi, everyone has just been thinking about AI, machine learning, and small language learning models. So we shall also analyze that. Beginning from the first article, editorial page number 10, Tehran re-enters the global geopolitical spotlight. Of course, we are looking at Iran with the map with a special focus on a strategic geopoint choke point known as the Strait of Hormuz, which Iran may now fully close in times to come. Okay, and before we analyze this article in detail, let me quickly welcome my dear, inquisitive, curious students whom I wish tremendous success and good luck upon. Terukula, Sumed, Bulbul, Sweetie, Sitaram, Shakti, Ashish, Akash, and Shinobi, Satya, Shlok, Kavish, Saurav, Apex, Hika, Sumit, and Ramu. No problem. Welcome to the class, my dear. Lots of love and blessings to you. Yes, we can do that. Absolutely. That's a great idea, Satya. But the only issue is then time duration may just get a little extended. Think about it. Discuss among yourselves. You are already an integrated community now, and you can decide whether you want me to take up Indian Express or Economic Times articles. I absolutely have no problem in doing that, but that may expand our time limit a little bit. So if everyone is okay, definitely we will do that. So let me know. Have a decision on that. Have a discussion. Whatever is your mandate, you can convey it to me and we can do that. So good morning, Kishan. My dear Eric is here. Sadhana has also come. All right. So let us begin with the first article for the day. But you focus properly. This is coming from GS Paper 2, International Relations. Quickly, we shall have to travel to West Asia right now. We have to go to Iran. Iran, a country that has been caught up in massive internal protest. For the first time, such a massive outbreak of civilians in Iran after 1979 Islamic Revolution. People of Iran are feeling cheated today. They believe that in 1979, when Iran had opted to cancel monarchy, the last royal family of Iran, Reza Pahlavi's family, the one who was exiled to the US. People chose for theocracy, a government that is dictated by religious leaders. Everything seemed fine. People had tremendous faith in the government. People had a tremendous faith in religion. Iran is a Shia country. That also makes Iran very important culturally in entire Middle East because usually Middle East is dominated by Sunni countries. Iran is a rare such country that is completely a Shia majority country, and therefore Iran is one nation which holds on to Yemen very closely because the population of Shias in Yemen is also very, very high. Today, after 1979 and moving to theocracy, a government led by Mr. Khamenei, Ayatollah Khamenei, the man whom people revered more than God itself, the man who used to show them hopes for future. Today it looks like all those hopes have been belied because people, from shopkeepers to businessmen to women, everybody seems to be unhappy. People are saying there is no job prospect. People say there is high hyperinflation, and the basic necessities of daily life are also becoming unaffordable to us. People are tired of theocracy and now they feel, let us switch towards some kind of a democracy. A very good question was raised by Shlok, I think, about few weeks before, as we were saying, some of the young protesters in Iran want to call Mr. Reza Pahlavi back from US. They see in him a modern day youth leadership. A very good question Shok had raised. But then, ma'am, that doesn't mean democracy because he was a monarch, the son of Muhammad Pahlavi. But people today are not interested in going back to monarchy. What they want in Reza Pahlavi is a new young leadership, a man with Western ideas. He's a man who's been trained in US thought for a very long time, American viewpoint. Today, if he comes to Iran and becomes the new leader, people will have a problem. Many people believe Iran will now become a soft colony of US, so some hardliners don't support him, whereas the other people from youth, the Gen Z, they still want a young leader. They are tired of all this theocracy and monarchy. In this backdrop, there are other countries who want to take advantage of Iran. Now, let's not forget that bacha, Iran is a country which has tremendous capacity for uranium enrichment. In fact, that's the reason why, if you look at entire Gulf area, majority of gigantic oil rich countries like Saudi Arabia, like Qatar, like, even for that matter, countries like Oman, countries like Iraq, everybody is a little afraid of Iran. Why? Israel hates Iran. Saudi Arabia hates Iran. UAE, Qatar are afraid of Iran. Why? Iran has a massive capacity for uranium enrichment. One of my students was just reminding us, Kritik was, about Bushehr, about Natanz, about Ashfaya, about Fardo. What are these? All these are Iran's nuclear power plants. Although Iran is a signatory to Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, NPT, but still, majority countries do not trust Iran. They believe Iran has a secret nuclear weapon power. That's the insecurity which drew Saudi Arabia to Pakistan. That's the insecurity which leads to Israel plus US attacking Iran repeatedly. They are afraid of Iran. Today, what has happened out of this fear of Iran? President Trump has been a perfect vulture who has been observing all these developments with a detail. He knows Iran is in protest. Mr. Khamenei's position is weak. Iran is busy controlling the protest, punishing the protesters, sometimes even giving them punishment to death. President Trump knows it's a perfect situation to interfere. He has been waiting this for a long time. Israel and Iran and US have been maintaining a very close eye. They know right now the time to strike has come, and repeatedly, one after the other, US is putting its military equipment near Arabian Sea, that is near the coast of Iran. One of the largest aircraft carrier, Gerald, has already been put by US. Yesterday, many more fighter jets, missiles have been circulating this area. While on the paper, both US and Iran are conducting a peace negotiation talk mediated by Oman in Geneva, Switzerland. But that's just on paper. In reality, US threatens an attack. In this background, bache, before we go to the map, understand what's happening. Now, in 2013, when President Barack Obama was the leader of US had started negotiating with Iran. US and its allies, especially Israel, believed that Iran is developing nuclear weapon. Iran kept saying, no, I am not developing any nuclear weapon. Yes, I do have a uranium enrichment program, but that's for peaceful purpose and energy. I am not doing any nuclear experiment. Everything that I'm doing is only for civilian energy development. But US and its allies, Iran, European Union, nobody was ready to take Iran seriously. All this situation led to a negotiation in 2015. Now, 2015 is a very important year, bacha. 2015 Paris Agreement was signed. 2015 International Solar Alliance was created. 2015 India had 5 new urban renewal missions from Amrit to Smart City to Startup to Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana to Hriday. Same 2015, negotiations started between Iran on one side and the permanent 5 members of United Nations Security Council on another side. So what happened? On the one side, you had Iran, who promised that I am not doing any kind of nuclear test. On the other side, there were the P5 members of UNSC, US, UK, France, Russia, China. All these plus Germany. They became one party versus Iran, and they signed a pact that is known as JCPOA, Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. What happened under this? Under the JCPOA, it was decided that Iran will limit, control its uranium enrichment level up to 3.67% of its total uranium capacity and its total stockpile size. So it will control nuclear enrichment. Yes? In return, what happens? In return, the P5 countries will remove economic sanctions from Iran. Iran also said, I will allow inspection of my nuclear power plants by IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency, headquartered in Vienna in Austria. I will allow inspection. In return, all these countries promised, okay, bro, we will remove sanctions from you. What was the objective? Objective was to prevent Iran from building nuclear weapon. But all this happened when Mr. Barack Obama was in the power. Now, President Trump is not the same kind of a man. President Trump is not Mr. Joe Biden. President Trump is not Mr. Barack Obama. President Trump is not Mr. G.W. Bush. President Trump, being Trump himself, in 2025, suddenly as he came to his second term at office, he started blaming Iran again. He said, I don't believe in any kind of JCPOA. Iran has been lying to all of us. Iran has been deluding us. There are secret nuclear testings that keep happening, and Russia and China are secretly supporting Iran. Now we agree. We don't deny that Russia and China see Iran as a major trade partner. They have never bothered about US sanctions. They continued trade negotiations with Iran. In fact, it's also a reality that secretly Russia has provided weapons, military equipment, and technology to Iran. We know that. But still, there was no proof that Iran is making nuclear bombs. Now, what happened? As soon as under President Trump's second tenure, US started blaming Iran for nuclear enrichment and making bombs, Israel took advantage. Israel anyway hates Iran. So Israel's Prime Minister Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu strongly started propagating this narrative that Iran was close to nuclear weapons. Israel went to the extent of saying that Israel has a proof that Iran has underground nuclear bombs in Fordow, one of the most fortified underground nuclear facilities in Iran. What happened? Both countries came together, Israel and US, and started attacking Iran. One by one, they kept on dropping special bombs, B-2 bomber technology that can penetrate underground nuclear arsenal. And that's what they did at Fordow. Now, a lot of people feel they attacked all the plants. Ashfaya also. Bushehr also. No, they did not attack Bushehr. Why? Because Bushehr is not known for massive uranium enrichment. It is just a site of stockpile. They actually targeted Fordow and Ishfaya and Natanz, because Fordow is the largest such facility existing in Iran. Back to back bombs were dropped. What could Iran do? Nothing. What could Russia and China do? Nothing. They did not want to directly involve in the war, but they kept on criticizing Israel and America's action. After military strikes were done, after Mr. Trump realized Fordow has been devastated, he started now pursuing a diplomatic deal similar to what Mr. Obama had done in the form of JCPOA. Today, what is happening? He is saying, let me deal with Iran diplomatically, but in reality, his intention is to capture Iran's oil resources, just like he has done in case of Venezuela. That's the secret intention. Today, after suddenly, President Trump, after attacking Iran thoroughly, after bombing Fardao, he was also the man who just walked out of JCPOA. Now, what was wrong with JCPOA? In JCPOA, Iran has on paper promised the P5 countries plus Germany under Mr. Obama that I am not going to do uranium enrichment beyond 3.67% of stockpile. It said, I am not making any nuclear bomb. You can come and visit me anytime you want to. I am open for inspection. Did Israel ever show that transparency? No. But still, President Trump suddenly walked out of JCPOA, said that it is bogus, it is fake, and Iran is cheating us. Today he is sitting on table in Geneva, Switzerland. Who is mediating? I told you Oman. Oman has been a long-term mediator. It has always mediated in various conflicts, being an oil-rich, stable country. Now Oman is mediating the talks, but the same man, Mr. Trump, who has already cancelled JCPOA. Is there a guarantee he will create another peace deal? Absolutely, he's not going to do that. And what is the situation of Arab countries here? What do the Gulf countries say? See, it's very clear that countries like Saudi Arabia do not like Iran. They are very insecure because of Iran and Israel. Both these are strong nuclear powers. But despite tensions with Iran, no Gulf country wants a war today. They have seen enough war in the form of Israel-Palestine. They have seen refugee crisis. They have seen the instability of the area which impacts oil supply. No country wants a war right now, especially countries like Saudi, UAE. They don't want war. Already they are engaged in other countries' proxy wars like Yemen, Sudan. They don't want any open conflict. Why they don't want a war? One, US military bases are located in most of these Gulf states. Look at Qatar. What is Qatar famous for? Doha. Qatar has Al Udeid military air base of US, the largest military base in West Asia in Qatar. Why will Qatar want a war? It will mean attack on Qatar too. Similar bases exist in Saudi Arabia, UAE. Why will these countries want a war? No. Then Iran has warned that if this time US or Israel attack me, I will hit all these military bases of US in West Asia. I will not leave. Again, a major threat to all these people. Then any conflict will destabilize the oil market. Oil market is already very unstable right now. With countries like Russia, Venezuelan oil already being offered at about $10 per barrel lesser price as compared to Brent and Texas. Nobody wants more inflation in oil prices now. Nobody wants a prolonged war in West Asia. Why does this matter globally? It does. The world is already facing a deteriorated geopolitical condition. Russia-Ukraine war is not over yet. Not at all. Similarly, you see Israel-Palestine is far from over. Mr. Trump's agenda on Greenland may mean another war and withdrawal from NATO. A new conflict in Iran could mean total devastation of West Asia, total disruption in global oil supply. Now in the map here, all my dear students can clearly see the Strait of Hormuz. Yes, we can see that. Where is Strait of Hormuz? Right here. Where UAE tries to poke into Iran. You have Strait of Hormuz. You know this area is very important for the Bandar Abbas port. We know very nearby, almost here, is the Chabahar port. Why will countries want a war here? Does it not mean, for example, if you look at you and myself, what do you and I want? Will we ever want a war in Iran? Why? We know we have invested millions of dollars in Chabahar port because it is a part of connectivity to IMEC, announced in 2023, India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor. Why should we want that Indian investment could get wasted? We don't want that. Similarly, other countries don't want that, who have invested in Chabahar. This is an important area. Today, Iran retaliates. Iran says one attack from US and Strait of Hormuz will close. What happens if Strait of Hormuz closes down? What happens? An area that is allowing at least 1/4 and more of global supply chain traffic to pass from itself. If it closes down, what happens to oil supply in Eastern Hemisphere countries? In South Asia, it comes down. It will create a disruption in supply, and no country wants that. It is dangerous, absolutely. Plus, it will also increase tensions between US, Russia, and China. Who wants that? What are Indian stakes here? Say Vineet says 25%. That's one fourth. One fourth of global oil supply chain passes from here. What happens if it's closed down? Imagine the level of disruption. The petrol price could go up to 250, 300 rupees per liter. Nobody wants that. Okay. Now, the problem is, what are Indian stakes here, bache? Very good. Vineet, Shlok, Satya. What are Indian stakes? Indian stakes are very clear. Iran used to be once upon a time top suppliers of crude from Iran to India. Top suppliers. Later, because of US sanctions, India stopped importing crude oil from Iran. JCPOA made situation easy. After JCPOA, US not only lifted sanctions on Iranian oil, also lifted sanctions on the use of Chabahar port. It was a good situation for India. India kept investing in Chabahar. India also purchased a little bit of Iran's oil and petroleum products. But again, today, as both countries are in the mood to have a war, India's investment in Chabahar port is threatened. It's the only way India can have access to West Asia and Europe by bypassing Pakistan, because it passes through Afghanistan. It has nothing to do with Pakistan. It provides India straight access to Central Asia. It is very crucial for us. Therefore, Iran is very important for India because Iran balances Pakistan. India, because of Chabahar port, has a strong relation with Taliban. Entire conflict impacts Central Asia because India has never got any support from countries like Turkey. Turkey supports Pakistan. Turkey is anti-India throughout. Why will India want this area to destabilize? Because if Iran is weak, then Pakistan, Turkey angle becomes stronger. For India, it is not good at all. So Iran for India is not about oil alone. It is about people of Indian origin in Iran. It is about strategic importance. If Iran faces a threat, internal protest, political instability, it could mean more impact of countries like US. Today, US is the ruler of Venezuelan oil. It wants to sell it to us. Tomorrow, if US becomes a ruler of Iranian oil, again we will have to buy that. That means it also indirectly disrupts our relation with Russia. And India would never want that. Yes? Very good. Absolutely, Yuvraj. Very logical statement. So, in this condition, Iran itself is burning right now. There are the moderates and there are the conservatives who are now trying to unite with themselves in order to face US threat. But internally, Iran is a fractured society right now. And how can we conclude this article? Just by remembering that a strategic point for India and entire West Asia today under threat. Why? Because of US pressure. China, Russia may support Iran, but openly they also do not want a war right now. President Trump has withdrawn from JCPOA of 2015. Therefore, in reality, he has no interest in making another peace deal. Whatever mediation is happening in Switzerland could be a very fake agenda. In reality, he could be looking at a stronger action on Iran. After all, we keep calling this as the resource curse. Every country which has rich reserves of crude always attracts the kind of attention from other countries, making it a proxy war. So quickly, let's do this question. Consider the following statements regarding Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action JCPOA from 2015. 1. It was signed between Iran and all 5 permanent members of United Nations Security Council with Germany. 2. The agreement completely prohibited Iran from enriching uranium on its soil. 3. The US unilaterally withdrew from JCPOA in 2018 despite agreement being endorsed by UN Security Council. And 4. Oman has historically played a mediatory role in facilitating back-channel talks between US and Iran. Which of these statements are correct? Answers initiated from Vikash, Reshma, Shlok, Sadhna, Madhav, proceeded with Saurav, Apex, Sitaram, Ramu, Eric, Shinobi, Ashish. Yes, and what about Bulbul Akhtar? What about Sumit, Saurav? Saurav has answered. What about Sumit? No split at all. Shlok says no split at all. Sumit, Urapam, Ashish, Vineet. Everyone answers. And are they correct? Absolutely correct. And what should I do? Ideally, I should give a standing ovation. What a perfectly smooth response. B is totally correct. Why is second statement wrong? Because The agreement JCPOA did not prohibit nuclear enrichment. It allowed nuclear enrichment only to about 3.67% of entire stockpile. So some enrichment was allowed. Total prohibition was not there. Yes? Very, very good. Absolutely. Tulung, Zahir, I'm so happy at this response. Kavish, Yuvraj, Vineet, totally correct. Very well answered. Very well done. Hope it's clear to everyone. Yes, let's proceed with second article from editorial page. And what are we looking at? Very good, Terukula. We are looking at a topic from GS paper 2 as well as a topic from GS paper 3. We are looking at the battle that's going on in India between right to privacy and the right to transparency. What is right to privacy? We must talk about the Puttaswamy verdict when we say right to privacy. In India, we think that right to privacy is a very integral part of right to life itself. Article 21. Right to life and liberty does include right to privacy. But right to privacy does not mean that government officers and government departments can keep hiding information from public, highlighting the need to privacy. No, because right now we have a conflict going on. On the one hand, you have right to privacy, which guarantees that personal data, personal information must be protected. On the other hand, there is the Right to Information Act in India, RTI, 2005. This says public has a right to know everything that parliament does. You can't hide anything from public in India because public is a key stakeholder in Indian democracy. So what to do? Should every information be given to the public or can it be hidden rightfully? Highlighting right to privacy, Article 21. Absolutely beautifully summarized by Santosh. Ideally, constitutionally, it's a clear-cut battle between Article 14, the right to equality, and Article 21, the right to life, liberty, including privacy. Beautifully said. Very good, Madhav. Very good, Vikash. Totally, totally. We are talking about the same section of RTI. Brilliant. So, what is this article all about? Let's quickly summarize. The Supreme Court of India has referred petitions challenging amendments to the Right to Information Act 2005 to a constitution bench. Now, there is a constitution bench which shall be looking into and which shall be analyzing all the controversy regarding Right to Information Act. How applicable is this and what are the exceptions to this? There is too much battle going on between Article 1421, DPDP Act, RTI, right to privacy. These are the main concerns. So now a constitutional bench will hear this issue. Why is it such a sensitive issue? Because there is a challenge against changes made to RTI under the DPDP Act, Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023. Why is there a debate? I will talk about the classes, bacha. Let's just focus on this article right now. Pakka, I will talk about it. Okay, listen now. If you talk about the original Right to Information Act 2005, original, there is a section, as Vikash was reminding us, section 81J. Section 81J of the Right to Information Act 2005. Section 81J. What does it say? Section 81J allows the government to deny personal information only if it has no relation to the public activity or public interest, or it could create an unwanted invasion of privacy. Only under these two protocols you can deny personal information. But there was an important safeguard here. Public interest always overrides. Even personal information can be disclosed. I repeat, personal information can be disclosed if larger public interest is involved here. Then we will give personal information, and this part of RTI has ensured in India transparency and accountability. It's very democratic in nature. Now, what is the problem? The problem is in 2023, an act has been passed known as DPDP Act, Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023. This is the problem. Why is it a problem? Because the DPDP Act has now completely amended Section 81J of RTI. How? It has removed the public interest overriding rule. It has imposed a ban on disclosure of private personal information. Now, any information relating to personal information, personal data can be denied, even if larger public interest is involved. Why is this problematic? Of course it is. Because it increases information asymmetry gap. RTI Act was created to reduce gap between citizens and the government. Now citizens may not be able to, because of DPDP, access official records, access procurement details about big deals created by the government, about auditing reports, about public spending, public expenditure data. Maybe now we will not get that information. And the government can monitor citizens under DPDP Act. Now look at the paradox. Under DPDP Act, the government can monitor citizens' data. Our data is open to the government under DPDP, but we cannot have any look into the government's data. What logic is that? Is DPDP not a paradox then? The government can have a look at our data, but we cannot have any scrutiny of government data because now Section 1J of RTI has been amended by DPDP. Now, anything that is felt by the government to be very personal, very private, very sensitive, and something that is not exactly supposed to be known by people will be hidden by the people. So there used to be a clause in Section 81J. The clause was, what clause was that? The biggest clause was the clause regarding public accountability, public transparency. The clause was public interest always overrides. Public interest comes first. Now, this has been denied by DPDP as it has amended Section 81J of the RTI Act. Now, this is causing the biggest controversy. Very good, Vikash. Very good, Reshma, Vineet. Excellent. That's the problem right now. Now what is happening, Bache? There is a paradox here called legitimate use paradox. I repeat, legitimate use paradox. Legitimate is something that is within authority, that is backed by law. Section 7 of the DPDP, okay? So we are now looking into Section 7. Section 7 of the DPDP Act, Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023. Section 7 of this act allows the government, listen, to process personal data without consent for legitimate purpose. Our data can be used without our approval if it is done for legitimate legal purpose. But as citizens, you and I cannot use the similar logic to demand transparency in government procurement and social audits. Why? This creates an imbalance between the power of the government and the rights of the citizens. This is not Article 14. This is not the right to equality. And what impact is it having on the media, press, that is often called as the fourth pillar, that is often called as the fourth pillar of the democracy? Media is getting severely impacted. Journalists could be classified as data fiduciaries. What is a fiduciary? I told you there are certain relationships that are called fiduciary relationships, like between a lawyer and a client. Fiduciary means one person will always try to promote the best interest of another and maintain secrecy of the dealings between them. It's a benefactor relationship. A very, you can say, goodwill relationship between two people. Journalists are therefore also known as data fiduciaries under DPDP, correct? But non-compliance under DPDP could mean a fine up to rupees 250 crore. Fear of 250 crore fine. Fear of this punitive action may stop journalists from becoming investigative. Tomorrow, even if they want to expose any scam that has happened in the government, they will not be able to because they are worried. What if we are denied information? What if we are denied information under DPDP saying that private records and audit records will not be given to you? We will raise an issue and we will not be able to prove it. It will mean face a situation of false face for us, a situation of humiliation for us. We are not going to therefore do any investigation of anybody in power. That leads to partisan politics. And now governments will never try to be expository. They will never try to be investigative. Media may reduce itself to publishing government press release, but media will not have the power to criticize government at all. A similar issue was observed in 2025 when a very senior journalist in India, Mr. Siddharth Vadirajan, I don't know if you heard that controversy, he was summoned by the court. There's a publication called The Wire. Many people from The Wire were also summoned by the court because they had apparently criticized some scheme of the government. In fact, they had also written some things about Operation Sindoor which people did not like. Maybe they crossed their limits. Agreed, we don't know in reality. But the fact is that such issues do create a fear and panic among independent content creators. Yes, Wire Shlu. They create a fear among journalists. Media may therefore become a vocal cord of the government rather than being a critical element in any kind of democracy. Today, what happens? Startups will get exemptions under DPDP, but journalism is not getting any such exception. Can we compare this to global standards? Yes, we can. Now, if you look at European Union, the 27 member bloc, it has a General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation, which perfectly balances privacy protection and the fear of expression, making sure people get transparency. In India, by creating the DPDP, by amending 81J section of RTI, we have failed to give that kind of transparency to people. People are saying it is a very government friendly amendment. It has nothing to do with supporting citizens on ground. Government can use our data without permission. We can't see anything that's happening in the government. We are blocked. There is opacity now, no transparency. How can we relate this to judicial references? Now, in 2019, a very interesting case happened. This is called Supreme Court of India case, Central Public Information Officer versus Subhash Chandra Agarwal case. I repeat, Central Public Information Officer versus Subhash Chandra Agarwal case 2019. What did the Honorable Court say? Court said personal information can remain private, but it must be disclosed in case public interest demands that. But today, by creating DPDP Act, by amending Section 81J, we are absolutely going back on this verdict. We are not respecting this verdict. The issue is a very sensitive one because it messes up with various articles. Article 21, right to privacy, confirmed in the Puttaswamy case. Right to information, part of Article 19(1)(a), freedom of speech and expression. Article 14, right to equality. Article 32, constitutional remedies. Hence, because it's so complex, it has been now referred to a constitution bench. Now, this new bench will sit and investigate whether it is logical to use DPDP to stop and to paralyze RTI. Why are they conflicting provisions in India rather than being symmetrical provisions? That's the main issue here. Absolutely. Very, very good. Okay. Now, definitely it also goes back to the same argument where we were talking about Lokpal, Justice Nagaratna versus Justice Vishwanathan case, where Miss Nagaratna, Justice Nagaratna said, we don't want any kind of anti-corruption act where you have to take government's permission before doing investigation on charges of corruption if the person involved is a government officer. There is no need to take government permission. Why are we giving them a special privilege? If found to be corrupt, they must be investigated upon. But what did Justice Vishwanath say? No. Let us not create any kind of blanket, removal of this provision. Let us use a third party approval like, say, Lokpal. So these are controversies in India sometimes where right to privacy becomes a complete clash when it comes to accountability, protection of data. It's a very prominent debate in India right now. Three things are included: right to privacy versus DPDP versus RTI. Very good. Quickly, the question. Consider the following statements. 1. The DPDP removes public interest override that earlier existed under Section 81J of RTI 2005. Second, under the amended framework, all information relating to public officers can be disclosed if it concerns public expenditure. And 3, journalist entities may be treated as data fiduciaries under the DPDP Act and can face monetary penalty, punishment for non-compliance. Which of these statements are correct? Wow, again majority. Initiated from Vikash, Terukula, Shlok, Reshma, Anup, Sojanya, Kundur, Madhav, Neel, Saurav, Kavish, Sadhna. Anybody else? My dear Sitaram has answered. We need Zahir. What about my dear Zahir? Hika, Sadhana, Ashish, Madhav. Very good. Kritik, Shakti. Ramu, have you answered, Bache? I didn't see your answer. I didn't see Zahir's answer either. I didn't see Sumed's answer. Haven't seen Bulbul's response, Iba's response. Yuvraj answers. Sumit answers. Shakti Akhtar also answers. Okay. Then, presuming that majority goes with B, let me give you a big round of applause. Once again, wonderful performance, making me so happy. First is correct. That's what it chooses to do. That's why it's being criticized, Eric. Absolutely. Second, not correct. Third, correct. About journalist, we spoke about it, making B as the right answer. Really well answered. Should anybody have a minor doubt, feel free to ask, feel free to discuss. Very well answered. I'm presuming that everybody understood. Pranarathi, correct. Anyone has any issue, you can definitely ask me and we can discuss. Sumit answered. Ramu is right here. We have spoken. I just didn't see the answer, so I was concerned. Very good, Sadhana. Thanks for confirming, Bachi. Now, the next article. This is GS paper 2 again. GS paper 2, and it is coming from Polity and Governance. Because we are again looking at the Honorable Supreme Court of India. Yesterday, we spoke about an article. Which article was that? Was it not Article 124? Did we not talk about Article 124? Did we not talk about Article 130 of the Indian Constitution? When we were thinking about creating many different benches of the Honorable Supreme Court in India so that people have more access to the court. It is not being involved, Satya, because it is exactly not an issue of corruption here. It's more an issue of information hiding. And that's why they have created a separate constitutional bench. Had it been a charge of corruption, then definitely the issue could have gone to Lokayukt or Lokpal. Yes? Okay. Fiduciary, somebody who acts in the best interest of the other person. It's a very special category of relationship like attorneys and lawyers have with their students. Very good shlok. Article 124, we spoke of collegium. 130, we said many more benches can be created across India with the headquarters in New Delhi so that people have more access to jurisdictions, because yesterday we learned a new data. Everybody was thinking that 88,000 cases are pending in front of Supreme Court bench collegium. But yesterday we realized, no, it's not 88,000. It's almost more than 90,000 now. So the pending cases has increased to above 90,000. Yes? All right. It is, in a way, it is, Satya. But right now, constitution bench is needed because even the Honorable Supreme Court has not been able to give a unified jurisdiction on that. That is it valid to create a DPDP and then cancel 81J of RTI? Or can we have a midway solution where we can balance both? That's why a constitutional bench will have a much more stronger mandate rather than invoking Lokpal right now. Yes, very good Shlok. Absolutely. Despite the fact that court is working in full capacity of 34 judges, wonderfully reminded by Vikash. Yesterday, we also talked about the 3 judges case. We also spoke about NJAC 2014 that was struck down in 2050. Brilliant. Let's come again to Supreme Court of India. What are we looking at? Very good, Yuvraj. We are looking at the culture of freebies in India. What are freebies? Now, if you remember, Bacha, when in Bihar Assembly elections, NDA won the election. When Mr. Nitish Kumar became the proud chief minister again, a lot of people blamed the BJP for giving freebies to people. They said under Mukhya Mantri Mahila Rozgar Yojana, you have given so many direct benefit transfers in the accounts of poor women that people will definitely vote for you. So today the Supreme Court is looking at something similar. The Honorable Court has told all the political parties and the government in India that it is not valid to use freebies as ticket to elections. This is almost like a vote bank politics being done on insecurity, being done on people's poverty. What is happening? The Supreme Court of India criticized the state governments, many state governments, for distributing freebies, free bank account transfers, free subsidies. Yes, a direct transfer of 10,000 rupees, say for example, to account of more than 1 lakh women. What are we doing? Whose money is that? It's your money, my money. It's taxpayers' money. What a paradox. Under the Finance Commission 16th, the Finance Ministry says we want more fiscal space for the central government. Government wants to finance defense, welfare, national priorities, and therefore we are not going to increase the share of divisible pool with the states. Plus, the central government keeps on putting cess and surcharge also. That's not shared with the states. States are also crying. They are saying we want more money. We have so much debt. We have so much net borrowing. We have fiscal deficit. If that is the reality, then why so much freebie culture? It is taxpayer money. Now the situation is the Supreme Court of India criticized the state government for distributing so many freebies without even properly identifying who is the poor and who is not the poor. Now, the sad thing about reservation based on caste and backwardness is that majority of people who take benefit of these reservations and DBTs, direct bank transfers, are the people who already have money. They are already empowered. It's not like they really need the support. And those who genuinely need the support, like for example, there's a very interesting data. In 2021, the global multi-dimensional poverty index, if you look at Indian society, then out of 6 people who are multi-dimensionally poor, every 1 out of 6 person either comes from ST, SC, OBC or PWD background. They have to come from one of these vulnerable communities. But then why don't we have a proper system of identifying who is the poor and who is the vulnerable? Blanket giving of freebies is making people lazy, dependent on the government. It creates something that you called as dependency culture. There was a very famous anthropologist. I don't know how many of you have heard about him. He's known as Oscar Lewis. Oscar Lewis. He called this phenomena where governments keep giving freebies and people completely depend on the government for support. They stop making effort to change their situation. This is known as culture of poverty. Culture of poverty, beautifully explained by Oscar Lewis. Today, same situation is happening in our country also. Absolutely. That's why so many people say, as what Shlok is saying, that even in the case of scheduled caste reservation, tribe reservation, we must have a distinction between creamy and non-creamy layer. We should have it. And that's again a debate in India. Very, very good, Vikash. What has happened? It is paralyzing development. Absolutely, Shakti. This money is our money. If it gets into freebies, what infrastructure and economic development can you think of? Tell me. It's impossible. And that's why today the court is questioning the states whether all this is being done as a part of appeasement politics, vote bank politics before elections, without considering the burden on public exchequer. We should also see the amount of public finance burden that you are creating. So, what has the court said? Now, Chief Justice of India, Justice Surya Kant, 53rd Indian Chief Justice, he said the government must prioritize road, infrastructure, hospital, school, and medical college. This is called true empowerment. Rather, the government is busy distributing scooties, clothes, sometimes as low as alcohol, food, all during elections, all before the final day of the voting. While welfare for the poor is allowed in our country under directive principles of state policy, but pacification and appeasement of public before the election is not allowed. This is like buying the voter. This is also a breakdown of election conduct protocol. It is not valid. It is irrational, and giving universal freebies is highly questionable. Now the court is saying, I am not denying that do not give money to the deserving people. I never say that. But court is asking, do states in India have a proper formula, a tested mechanism or a method to identify who is the real beneficiary, who is not? Why do rich people, landed people, high caste people, affluent people receive freebies first? For example, giving women freebies is not what we need. Giving poor, disabled, backward women freebies is what we need. We can't create blanket categories. Now, this also makes me think of another concept that I must share with you. This is known as the problem of intersectionality, bache. Intersectionality. You will study this in optional, majority of optional, but you must remember this word. Intersectionality. What does it mean? It means women. If you look at women in India, you say that we want to now, under 128th Amendment Bill, give women reservations to parliament. It will happen after delimitation. Give them 33% seats in the parliament. In the panchayat, we are already giving about 50%. Yes, like in Karnataka, Bangalore, give free transport, free bus ride. Okay, fine. It is very good. Women are vulnerable component in India. They are. But does that mean every woman is vulnerable? Women are not a homogeneous category. Please remember my words. Women are not a homogeneous category. Women are not homogeneous. Women are a heterogeneous category. Within women, you have upper caste, lower caste women. Women coming from different religions. Women coming from different caste. Women coming from different states and linguistic backgrounds. Women who are physically disabled. Women who are not. Women who are rich. Women who are EWS. They are not a homogeneous category. Then how will giving blanket reservation help? That is why in India, giving reservations is not going to help. It will never create substantive representation of women. You don't need reservation. You need substantive reservation. Substantive reservation is a different thing. That means, please understand that this is the concept of intersectionality. Within one category also, there are multiple categories. You must give it to those who really deserve it. Giving people a fake promise of reservation will never result in substantive empowerment. And that explains the failure of reservation in the past. Today, I can ask you, in Panchayat, in Gram Sabhas, in majority of states, women are getting 50% reservation. But are rural women empowered? No. How many women from Dalit backgrounds, physically disabled women, visually impaired women, women from poorest of the poor labor class have become sarpanch? How many of them? Hardly. How many women are there today in Lok Sabha? Hardly. How is it even different from the first Lok Sabha that we constituted after election? How is the 17th Lok Sabha going to be different? Don't we see crimes against women? Even the women who are becoming sarpanch, they are operating through their husbands or brothers, sarpanch pati. And then how did you prove the point? That reservation led to substantive equality among women? It can never do that. Because once in power, a woman will think of her community in terms of religion. A woman may think of her caste in terms of religion. She will never think of promoting other women because they are not a homogeneous category. One woman minister of parliament may not think of promoting all India women. She will think of promoting her caste, her culture, her religion, but not women in general. That is the problem. In India, why reservation is only vote bank and not a successful policy. Always remember, intersectionality is a reality. And because of intersectionality, women are not homogeneous. Similarly, backward castes are not homogeneous. Minority religions are not homogeneous. Nothing is homogeneous. That means reservation is only promoting paperwork. It is never leading to substantive empowerment in India. That is something we need to understand. Yes. So now the question is, Supreme Court is asking, what protocol do you have to measure substantive equality in India? Should the benefits not go to the one who really need them? Or should they be blanket imposed on categories like women? Mukhyamantri Mahila Rozgar Yojana. Should it be only given to women who are giving birth? Janani Suraksha. Should it be given to all the girl child? Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. Or really the ones who come from needy families? That is something we need to ask. Today, you have basic policies for girls. Like so many of them. The Mahila Samman Niti Yojana. You have something like Balika Saving Scheme or something. All these mean you can invest in the future of girl child. But you know who are the majority people who invest in these schemes? Middle class or upper class people who get to save money in the garb of these policies. They get tax rebates on them. Plus, they are investing for their daughter's future. Ask a laborer's daughter. Ask a rural woman. How much has she invested in these schemes? Probably nothing. 1 or 2%. This is why substantive benefits never come from reservation. And Supreme Court today says poor children in India need educational support. Right to education, Article 21A. But poor students don't exactly get that kind of support. Affluent sections, they don't need unnecessary subsidies, but they keep giving that. And that's the reason why so many states are facing fiscal deficit. They are running short of money. All of them are having problem with funds and then they fight with the government. Please give us more share of divisible pool while their demand is valid. But they must also understand how to channelize that money. But still the states are continuing to spend on freebies. Today the Honorable Court is asking, why don't you generate revenue from the rich segments of society? Why don't you charge proper electricity bill from those who can afford that? Why don't you have a progressive taxation in electricity and water? You should have that. Now, this all is happening because of a court case that's going on in Tamil Nadu, as Shlok was mentioning. In Tamil Nadu, we are having a case called Tamil Nadu Power Distribution Corporation Limited case. This department has challenged Rule 23 of Electricity Amendment Act 2024. The department says revenue expenditure gap in Tamil Nadu's power sector is more than 50,000 crore rupees per year. Naturally, the state will run in revenue deficit, fiscal deficit. Who is paying for the loss? Government. Whom do the states complain to? Central government. So today the rule 23 say increase the tariff burden on people. But the department says no, we can't. It will cause tariff shock among people. State government is upset. What if people becomes angry? But Supreme Court says we don't care. We don't care. Let people be angry. You must have progressive taxation and tax must be borne by those who have the capacity to pay them. Do not give universal freebies. Same thing was with Aam Aadmi Party also. In Punjab, Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi also made everything subsidized from electricity to water supply. What did other parties like BJP, Congress said? They said the same thing. Today you are giving freebies to people irrespective of which background they come from. Tomorrow the government will run short of money. Freebies are targeted welfare. They are not meant to be universally imposed to make public happy. Where will the government get its money from? Now in India, do we allow targeted welfare? Yes, we do. Which articles of the constitution allow? This is all allowed under DPSP, Directive Principles of State Policy, Article 38. Government shall promote welfare by securing a social order based on justice, social, economic, political. Article 39, both B and C. What do they say? Article 39B. Ownership and control of material resources should be distributed to people equally. Article 39C. Economic system should not result in concentration of wealth. Article 41. People have a right to work, education, and public assistance. The same article that's being questioned today as Manrega has been transformed into VBGRAMG bill. Yes, is that clear? Okay. Quickly, the question. Consider the following statements regarding recent observations of the Honorable Supreme Court on distribution of freebies by the states. 1. The court said that distribution of welfare benefits to the poor and vulnerable sections is unconstitutional and violates the principle of fiscal responsibility. Second, the court questioned whether states running fiscal deficit should prioritize infrastructure and development over indiscriminate distribution of largesse, that is freebies, free money, free subsidy ahead of elections, before the election. Indiscriminate, relentless, unstoppable, continuous. Third, the court raised concern that indiscriminate, relentless freebie may result in affluent sections benefiting first, and it could weaken fiscal sustainability if not supported by a rational, that is logical, identification mechanism. Process, method. Terukula, Apex, Shinobi, Sadhana, Shakti, Ajay, Yuvraj, Vineet, Vikash, initiated from Madhav, Kritik, Sojanya, Vikash, Sadhana, Eric. Everyone says that the answer should be C. Oh my God, today all responses are totally uniform. Today looks like there is no need to call the Lokpal at all. Is that the right answer? 2 and 3? Absolutely. Second is correct. Third is correct. Third is also correct. First is correct. No. The court never said that. When did the court say that? Court never said that. Court said that in India we do allow targeted welfare for the needy people under DPSP. We just spoke about the DPSP 38, 39, BC, 41, in fact even 42. We allow that. But it doesn't mean that you keep on giving freebies to people just to make them happy before the elections. So therefore, what should be the answer? There is a small split here I can see. Not a major split, but a small one if I'm not wrong. Why are some students thinking that the answer should be B? Did anybody say the answer is B or D? No. The answer has to be C. First statement is completely wrong because of DPSP Reshma. Absolutely. So C will be the answer, Bacha. I hope it's clear to everyone. In that case, D cannot be the right answer. Very good, Vikash. Now, one of the, I think, fourth article for the day, just two more short ones to go. Today, it's not a very lengthy newspaper. Iran, US boost military posture amid rising tension in West Asia. Once again, we need to go back to West Asia. Yes? So you go to West Asia, enjoy the map of Iran once, sorry, Russia this time. Iran I have already shown you. So I thought let us visit Russia. So apart from West Asia, we must also look at the Russian map. As you look at the map, like what we always do, try to appreciate the overall coordinates of the map. Look Arctic Ocean, how Russia is a key Arctic coast country fighting for its influence in Arctic Ocean. Look at the boundary with Europe. You all know this is the most important NATO boundary. Ukraine exists as a buffer state here, and that is why countries like Romania and Poland are very scared. Look at Kazakhstan. It was in the news recently. One exercise we have done with Kazakhstan. Look at Mongolia. Then there's China. And on the eastern side, you can see Japan and the Pacific Ocean. The large Russian country is right in front of you. No problem at all. You just have to answer, bacha. Right, wrong doesn't matter. Understand the concept, that matters. Very good. Let me summarize the article. It is a paradox. Listen carefully. What happened? Tensions are increasing in West Asia between US and Iran. And two more countries are involved, Russia and China. What has happened? Then with which country did India do Khanjar? Very good, Anup. Khanjar also. Khanjar, yes. So what is happening? US is increasing its military presence in West Asia. Arabian Sea, Iran coast. Strait of Hormuz. Why? Iran is conducting a naval drill with Russia. Wow. Iran is conducting a naval drill in Russia. Just imagine being in that position. You should enjoy this like anything. Imagine, like a time traveler, right now you are sitting in Iran. Can you observe, if you look from a satellite, how fascinating and how scary everything is right now? How interesting it must be. On the one hand, US is continuously putting aircraft carriers and missiles near the Strait of Hormuz to attack Iran anytime. On the other hand, the same Iran is conducting a military drill with Russia. Tensions are supreme right now. Both sides are warning each other. At the same time, diplomatic talks are also going, mediated by Oman, say in Switzerland. So, what's the situation all about? Absolutely, it reminds you of the pre-World War III era. Absolutely. Situation is very stressful right now. Military presence plus diplomatic negotiations simultaneously. Very fascinating. What about US military build-up? Under President Trump, yes, the same man who has cancelled JCPOA. Yes, the same man who has no regard for Iran's sovereignty, who is looking at an opportunity to attack Iran right now, parallelly also Venezuela and Greenland, says one aircraft carrier has already been deployed. Yesterday, one more aircraft carrier is moving towards Iran from Mediterranean to the Strait of Hormuz. Fighter jets, destroyers, missiles, defense systems are all deployed in that area. The world is watching. Everything coming from US. What does US say? US says Iran has to make a deal on its nuclear program. If it doesn't do a deal, I will attack. That's it. What does Iran say? Iran, under its supreme leader, Mr. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has said that citizens must be united in the face of external threat. We are not going to succumb. Iran said, I will retaliate by attacking all the military and air bases of US in West Asia, including Al Udeid in Qatar. It said, if attacked, I will seek help from Russia. I will attack back. I am not going to bow down. Iran also said that I am conducting military naval drills with Russia in the Persian Gulf. You all know Persian Gulf, the small little area near Iran. Yes, I will conduct military drills here. And Iran also said, we have already conducted live fire exercises near Bandar Abbas port. Bandar Abbas port, where? Absolutely on the Strait of Hormuz. They have demonstrated military preparedness. Iran wants to show that it's prepared for a war. What is Russia doing? Russia has joined Iran in its naval live fire drills, warned against escalation. Russia says, I don't want war in this area. and therefore I am just requesting US right now to find a diplomatic solution. None of us will benefit from a full-scale war. Not at all. Especially the shutdown of Hormuz, we have just discussed, 25% of global oil supply comes shattering down. This is the problem right now. So what will Iran do? Iran has made a condition. Iran said, I will negotiate only on nuclear weapons. I will not negotiate on uranium enrichment. Sorry. No matter what Mr. Trump says. Mr. Khamenei says, I am ready to negotiate when it comes to making nuclear weapons, but I am not going to negotiate when it comes to uranium enrichment. Iran is one of the largest uranium enriching countries in the world. It says, I will continue. Nothing can stop me. What does US say? US says, stop. Stop your military, stop your uranium enrichment completely. Stop it right now. What happened under JCPOA? We just spoke about JCPOA, bache, didn't we? 2015 JCPOA between Iran on the one side and P5 countries plus Germany on the other. What happened during JCPOA? JCPOA told Iran, you can do uranium enrichment, but you have to control it to 3.67% of your total nuclear stockpile. Not more than that. Today, what is President Trump saying? Something more strong. He says, not only 3% something, completely stop. Completely stop your nuclear enrichment program. Limit your missile program as well. Not just nuclear enrichment, uranium enrichment. Stop your ballistic missile program also. Stop supporting regional armed groups like Hezbollah, like Houthis, like also Hamas. Stop supporting them. Don't give any money and weapons to them. That's the main disagreement all about. And what about Russia? Russia has a strategic partnership with Iran and conducts joint military exercises often near the Strait of Hormuz. Very good, Vikash. Russian leaders have criticized US for military threats against Iran and asked for restraint. However, while Russia provides political, economic, and diplomatic support, it does not sign, remember, it does not sign a formal defense pact to protect Iran in the case of US attack. That's the paradox. Russia is supporting Iran with nuclear drill, with with the military drill, naval drill. Russia is supporting Iran with weapon technology, but Russia has not signed a formal defense agreement. No kind of SMDA, Strategic Mutual Defense Agreement. Tomorrow, if US actually attacks, Russia may not come. Russia may not come. That's the problem. China also may not come. What is China saying? China also supports Iran politically. China criticizes unilateral behavior of the US and sanctions on Iranian oil. It keeps buying Iran's oil even today. Iran, China, and Russia have been conducting a joint naval drill under a framework that is called Marine Security Belt. This is a new word we are learning. I will ask you 2-3 times in the coming week. Marine Security Belt. I want all my students to remember. Yes, very good, Vineet. Almost like a parallel NATO of these countries. Very good, Vineet. What are they signing? Marine Security Belt. What is this Marine Security Belt? It is a kind of agreement between China, Russia, and Iran to conduct joint naval drills under this broad framework, Marine Security Belt. People are today saying that China is also unlikely to support any direct military support to Iran. That's the problem. Iran has supporters. Iran has nobody to fight war on its behalf because Russia and China will also focus on their strategic interest. After all, who today can afford taking a direct animosity with Mr. Trump? China has already suffered 140% tariff in past. Today, China has blackmailed due to its monopoly over rare earth material, the G2 summit. Tomorrow, same opportunity may not come. Same is with Russia. Russian economy has already suffered an impact because of EU and US sanctions on Russian crude products. Why will Russia take a risk again and enter into a full-scale war? It won't. That's the problem. Iran has support system, but Iran doesn't have a military support system. Does US have? Yes. Israel is there. Israel will act on US behalf. That's the problem right now. You see, this is the complete diplomacy that's going on. The last question for the day. Islamic NATO is also there. Very good. Consider the following statements regarding recent US-Iran tensions. 1. Iran has said it is willing to negotiate only on its nuclear program and has ruled out, said no to completely stopping uranium enrichment. Second, US has confirmed its demands only to Iran's nuclear program. US has confined, and not raised concerns regarding Iran's missile capacity or regional non-state allies. 3. Iran has formally withdrawn from NPT, Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, following the recent US military build-up in West Asia. Which of these statements are correct? Interesting. Split verdict. Finally, Shlok, split verdict. Terukula Vikas Shakti, Reshma Hika, Shlok, Saujanya are answering. Read the statement properly, bache, everyone. All the statements should be analyzed by you. Eliminate immediately if one is visibly wrong. Think. What is going on? Anup, Santosh, Vineet, Taithong, Sitaram, Madhav. There is majority, but there is a split also. There is a split, right? AC, CA, which is wrong, which is right. Should I give the answer now only, or should I also act like President Trump and do some suspense here? What to do? Every day it's not good. No, we should answer. Fine. There is a split. Let's break it down. Okay? Okay. First statement. Iran has stated that it will stop its nuclear program, but it said, I am not going to stop nuclear enrichment. So it is correct. First is correct. If first is correct, then bacha, how can C be correct? C cannot be correct. That's exactly what Iran said, no? What did Iran say, bache? Iran said, I am ready to negotiate, no? But the problem is, I will not make nuclear weapons. I promise I will not make nuclear weapon. But I will do nuclear enrichment. Nothing can stop. One is correct. Second, US has confined its demands only to Iran's nuclear program. No. What did I just explain you? US is demanding not only should you completely stop uranium enrichment, nuclear technology, but also US has objection to Iran's ballistic missile program. So, wrong. What is this word solely, only? When did US say only stop nuclear power weapons? It said also stop your ballistic missile program. Not correct. Third, has Iran withdrawn from NPT? When did you hear that in the news? I didn't hear. Which special newspaper gave that news, bacha? Has Iran formally withdrawn from NPT? That's the whole controversy about. Iran has not withdrawn from Non-Proliferation Treaty. It is Israel which has never signed that treaty. And despite Israel never signing NPT, countries support Israel. Iran has signed NPT. Iran promises you can do inspection under IAEA, and still people doubt Iran. Will Iran not feel angry? Of course it will. If we look at a very ethical standpoint, is Iran wrong? No, I don't think so either. Where is Iran's mistake here? Where is Iran's mistake here? Tell me. Is it not the right of Iran to make uranium enrichment? It is. What is the proof it is making nuclear weapon? Even before the missile attack last year, did US find a proof? Zero proof. But US doesn't need a proof to attack. Even when Mr. Maduro was captured, where was the proof that Shadow Fleet was carrying illegal narcotic drugs? It was not. But still he was abducted. Does he need a proof? He doesn't need a proof. Third is wrong. A is the right answer. So well done and absolutely no problem. Okay. Satya says Palestine, Pakistan Times. Okay. No. No such thing. Just a joke. Actually, it is slightly confusing. So let's understand, bache. US is making a very unilateral demand right now. It is an invalid demand. See, there is no logic. There is no sense in saying that stop your ballistic missile program also. Stop your nuclear weapons also. Stop your uranium enrichment also. I mean, what justice is that? Even in JCPOA, when Iran promised, okay, I will not make nuclear weapon, you can try to investigate my plants. Let the IAEA come. I have never stopped. Still, who respected Iran? Tell me. Nobody respected. Now, Iran is also valid in saying, no, that when Israel says, I'm not signing non-proliferation, you don't say anything to Israel. Then single-handedly, why are you cornering me? Tomorrow, if anybody attacks Iran, I mean, who will come to protect? Supporters are there, but supporters will never get involved. We all know that. We also know Saudi Arabia, despite the fact it doesn't want a war, it will never give its territory for a bomb attack, but it will also not come to support. It also doesn't like Iran. Who will come? Nobody will come. That's the controversy. No problem. Still very well tried and very well argued question. So I'm happy. Hope it's clear with everyone. Great. Almost the last article. Switzerland's president announces Geneva as host of 2027 AI Impact Summit. Brilliant. Just now we have seen 2026 AI Impact Summit happened in India at New Delhi, the first global South country to conduct it. And within this, India has signed so many commitments. Say, for example, moving towards graphic processing units. Say, for example, creating more small language models, enabling the benefit of AI to general common population, benefiting in education, health sectors. All of that is there. That was very interesting. Today, Switzerland announces that next year in 2027, the AI Impact Summit is now going to happen in Switzerland, Geneva. Now, Geneva is already in the news right now. Why? Because Geneva is the place where two important global peace talks are going on. I told you, one peace talk mediated by Oman between US and Israel. Between US and Iran. Second, the peace talk being conducted between which two other countries mediated by the US? Israel and Palestine. So you see, parallel negotiations are going on where peace talks are going on in Geneva. Yes, in Switzerland. So Switzerland's president, Mr. Guy Parmelin, has said that small countries must work together to make sure artificial intelligence is not monopolized by big powers like US, EU, and Russia, China. So once again, just like we are creating Pact Silica to counterbalance China's monopoly in rare earth, Switzerland says we must create an open platform for AI so that the big countries in the world are not able to monopolize the use of AI and chip fabrication. But why is this important? Listen carefully now for a minute. Why is this agenda important? Because, Bache, if you look at 2026, it is US and China that together control 70% of global AI industry. This has raised concerns about technology domination, chip fabrication, data control, semiconductor technology, privacy issues of data, and global governance imbalance. Two countries means duopoly. That's the situation it comes to AI. Switzerland argues AI must be multilateral, should not be dominated only by two nations. What's the role of Switzerland? Switzerland is also a place for international diplomacy. Switzerland is the headquarter of so many agencies of United Nations, and therefore today it is calling for a reform in AI and global mechanisms of AI. If Switzerland is hosting 2027 AI Impact Summit, then who is going to host 2028 AI Impact Summit? Important question for prelims. In match the following, it can come. 26 India, 27 Geneva, Switzerland, 28 UAE. Was UAE in the news? Yes, it was. India UAE together signed Security Defense Dialogue. India UAE have signed FTA. They had also signed a comprehensive economic partnership agreement long back in 2022. UAE, the same place which is fighting with Saudi Arabia and Iran over Yemen. Yes, UAE, the same place which pokes into Iran to create the Strait of Hormuz, divided into 7 Emirates, Dubai, Shah Jahan being the most important one of India's largest trading partners in the world, sending a huge amount of foreign remittance to India because of diaspora. Clear? Okay. So now, this India-Switzerland cooperation also becomes important. Why is India-Switzerland cooperation important? Because as the President of Switzerland is meeting Indian Prime Minister Mr. Modi, they are discussing AI innovation cooperation, multilateral ties. Then let's also remember one more thing, because nobody should forget in my class, and I know you remember. Yes, yes, who remembers about TIPA? Who remembers about TIPA? What is TIPA? India EFTA, European Free Trade Association. India EFTA, Trade and Economic Partnership. This is an agreement that India had signed in 2024 with 4 devoted countries of EU, exclusive countries of EU. Which were these countries? Switzerland, Iceland, Norway, Liechtenstein, Switzerland was one such country, very developed, high per capita income. Under the TEPA, they had agreed. Aha, not Sweden. Switzerland, Norway, Iceland, Liechtenstein. Yes. Now, under this agreement, all these countries have agreed to promote innovation led AI, skill development, employment capacity building. Now, let's understand Switzerland's main argument. Bache, what is Switzerland's main argument? Switzerland's main argument is that today the world is divided into the major powers and the swing powers. You all know India is also a swing power, right? Middle power, middle country, swing power. Switzerland is also a swing power. Switzerland says all the swing powers should come together, like South Korea, France, Switzerland, India. They must cooperate in following good governance principles, in making sure AI is not monopolized by few big nations like US and China. Quickly to the map of Switzerland. Sitting at the top of Italy, you can see neighboring countries. Today we spoke of Australia because Australia's capital Vienna is the headquarters of International Atomic Energy Agency. We see Liechtenstein here, another country of TIPA with India, along with Switzerland. Yes, you can see the big boundary with France. You know, there is another country, Andorra la Vella, that's very, very famous for its F1 car racing and tourism, right? Then you can see Germany here, right in the top of Liechtenstein, bordering with Germany, first topmost economy of European Union, with which India has signed a free trade agreement separately. Top three economies of EU, Germany, France, Italy, important for India. Okay, that's it. Plus, if you're looking at this map, do not miss Poland also. Why? Poland is the easternmost boundary of EU, but more than that, easternmost boundary of NATO. That is why Russia and Belarus, they keep on conducting surveillance here. They are worried that whatever military development is being done by NATO will happen on the eastern boundary of NATO, buffer area, overlapping with Ukraine. That's why Russia keeps monitoring this area thoroughly, which was the exercise in the news between Russia and Belarus, which had sent surveillance drones into countries like Romania and Poland, eastern part of EU NATO. Exercise Zapad. Exercise Zapad. Clear? Warsaw Pact. Very good. Now, the last article for the day. Yes, very good, Reshma. Absolutely. Correct. Estonia, all these. Baltic Sea passes through these countries. Very, very good. Last article for the day. Now, this is the most complicated article because it's slightly technical. Let's try to make it as easy as possible. This is typically coming from GS paper 3, Science and Technology, bacha, but it was not on the science page. It is coming in the science page. You have some article on dentistry, preventive dentistry. I tried to fish for important points, but I couldn't find exact UPSC relevant points, so I didn't take it. But this is more important. Text page, but scientific topic. Let's finish with this article. Let's focus. What's the main idea of this article? But we all know India has recently hosted the AI Impact Summit. One of the major decisions taken here is about adopting GPU. GPU? What is GPU? Graphics Processing Unit. That's it. So what does this article say? Yes, very good. Article is saying that what is the GPU? How does it work? Why has it become so important now to artificial intelligence and a new digital economy across the world? Originally, as you said, GPU, yes, it used to be used for video games. But today, GPU has evolved. Not just video games, but GPU is also crucial for artificial intelligence application, machine learning, large language model, data interpretation, predictive analysis, image processing, scientific experiments. Very important. What is a GPU? Graphics Processing Unit. It is a specialized processor that is designed to perform multiple kind of simple calculations at the same time. Parallelly, simultaneously, it is doing parallel processing. Multiple simple calculations, but all at the same time. Is it different from CPU? In a major way. CPU used to handle few tasks but complex tasks. GPU can handle simple tasks but many at the same time at a very quick speed. CPU used to be good for decision making ability. GPU, it's very, very good for processing large numbers. Then GPU is excellent because CPU earlier used to do serial processing, one after the other. But what does GPU do? Parallel processing. At the same time, too much processing is possible. Example, updating millions of pixels on a screen every second. A GPU is doing this much faster than what a CPU used to do. And how does it work? In a very simple way. For example, if I want to create a 3D image in AI by using artificial intelligence, I want to create a deep fake. I want to create an image here. What happens? I will break down the object into triangles. I will decide where the triangles will appear on the screen, fill them with thousands of pixels, add colors, effects, shadows, lights, store the final image in the memory. Now, this all is done by using thousands of small cores working together at the same time. That's the beauty of GPU. The result, perfect AI generated images, videos, and other content. Where is GPU typically located? On a separate graphics card. Typically, if you talk about a desktop, or it is integrated as a part of CPU in modern devices like, say, smartphone, or my new smart, anybody is using a modern kind of thin, slim laptop. Then it is located along with CPU. It is just a small chip made up of silicon, but the kind of effort and the work that it does is tremendous. It does not even need a separate layer under CPU. Okay, so it is just another small silicon chip, but the work that it does is wonderful. Why are GPU important for AI? Bigger question. Because of neural networks, AI models. AI models are performing millions to billions of repeated math operations per second. They multiply matrices and tensors quickly. They need quick and fast real time data movement, and GPUs are perfect here because they can do parallel mathematical operations immediately. They have a high memory storage bandwidth. They can do that with special tensor core made for AI. And that is why AI training, language learning models, small or large, all of them are depending heavily on GPU. What about energy usage? Of course, that's a matter of concern. They use tremendous amount of power. That's also the reason why Google has created a new platform that let us shift all the data centers to Earth orbit rather than being on the planet, because too much energy is being consumed here in case of a GPU operation. Example, when we want to train an AI model using 4 GPUs for 12 hours, we are consuming 12 kilo watt per hour of electricity. That's too much electricity consumption. It is not environmental friendly. It's not energy friendly at all. Running AI daily could mean 6 kilowatt of energy per hour, similar to running an AC for say 18 hours, or using 60 LED bulbs for over 10 hours. It is very energy intensive, very, very high. That's a problem. Now, the issue is, if it is energy intensive, why does NVIDIA as a company have a monopoly in GPU manufacturing and processing? Because if you look at this company, NVIDIA, it has 90% share in GPU market. It dominates AI data and center GPU. All of it is monopolized by NVIDIA. Strong advantage because of a software ecosystem named as CUDA. That's very important. CUDA software system is owned by NVIDIA. Therefore, technically, we can't say it's a monopoly, but at least a strong market share comes from NVIDIA. Regulators who are sitting in European Union are today examining whether NVIDIA is using its monopoly and market dominance in an unfair manner. Now, something similar happened in India. If you remember, Google, WhatsApp, it was all facing a major court case because they started monopolizing Indian market, and they told customers, take it or leave it protocol. Either give us your private data or leave the platform. That time, the Honorable Supreme Court said it is invalid. The Competition Commission of India and the NCLAT also punished these companies for having a monopoly in the social media market. Yes, and they had to pay some fine. The case is still not over. Even the Honorable Supreme Court criticizes these companies for, having a monopoly and then just trying to force or influence the users. Yes, Competition Commission was in news, NCLAT was in the news, Honorable Court was in the news because of these cases against WhatsApp. Today, similar thing is happening here. European Union are examining. All the countries are thinking, why does NVIDIA have this monopoly because of the CUDA software ecosystem? Is it trying to misuse because of its monopoly? Regulators are still trying to determine that. Now, how can we conclude this article? We can say that GPUs have long evolved from merely being a gaming chip into becoming the backbone of AI industry and AI model computing. Their ability to process huge amount of data in parallel time, real time, makes them crucial for machine learning and large language learning models. But they also consume high energy. Another problem is they are dominated by one company like Nvidia. Today, the issue is both. The energy consumption is a matter of environmental finance concern, and domination by companies like Nvidia means a complete market monopoly. So that's the controversy here, okay? That's it for today. These are the answers. And here's a quick reminder for 27-28 batch. Yes, we are launching a great sale on the batch beginning on 26th February. If you can enroll today, the price is only 13,999 added with code SPLIVE more discount. Similar is true for 2028 batch. Affordable price for more than 1 year of guidance. All GS topics covered, basic interview guidance covered, current affairs covered. Using code SPLIVE, more discount. Batch is beginning 26th February. Now, students were asking about essay writing, comprehension, choke points, and all the conflict boundaries in the world. Yes, please stay tuned to Telegram. Everything will be updated to you, Bacha, in full detail and complete steps to follow for enrollment in Telegram. So, thank you very, very much. Absolutely. If you want to break the monopoly, innovate. Correct. Yes. Absolutely. Correct. Very well said, Yuvraj. Thank you. Okay, then Ramu, Reshma, Vineet, Vikash, everyone, not just few names, but all, entire group of students who was there with me. Lots of love, lots of blessings. I'll see you tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Work hard, enjoy your studies, relish current affairs. These are the backbone for UPSC. And take care of your health, take care of your mental frame. Do not get stressed. Life is very long, full of challenges. The more happy, the more relaxed you are, the better your brain will do justice to yourself. With all that blessing and positivity, I'll see you tomorrow. God bless you. Bye bye.